Last week, Anthony, we saw a big game in the NUIC, Stockton taking down Lena Winslow. But one of the best teams in that conference that's always looming and 2-0 this season is the Dupec Rivermen, and they hosted Morrison tonight. Let's show you those highlights right now. Morrison coming in with a winless record as well, so it was going to be a tall task on the road at Dupec. Let's see how this one shook out between these two teams. Mustangs getting hyped up, and their first offensive play turns out to be a fumble by Carson White, their quarterback. Rivermen take over, and right off the turnover, it's Dermot Dolan into the end zone. Extra point is good. 7-0 Rivermen lead, and then Dupec once again taking it to the house. They double their advantage with that 30-yard score. 14-0 Rivermen on top. Dermot Dolan wasn't done just there. That's his second score of the first half, and the Mustangs in a hole, and they know it. The more the bodies push, the more touchdowns that Dermot Dolan scores. He had 3 in the first half, Anthony. Absolutely insane. 27-0 the score at that point, and the Dupec Rivermen win it 55-7.
Wow, look at that. And I was interested with their stadium when they play in Durant, kind of football and baseball. Now to GK Winnebago. We picked this one up just before half. Bago hosting GK. As I said, both teams are 0-2 before tonight's game, and it's first into the air and then on the ground for the Cogs. Seeing Owen Zachard run past everybody into the end zone. Then after the Winnebago band entertaining at halftime, it was less of the same for the Cogs as the Indians started moving the ball. They were led by their QB, Caden Langholf. First, he's on the ground and then through the air to his receiver. He did end up scoring, putting the Indians at 12 before this 2-point attempt. Now back to the ground, bringing Winnebago to 14, but unfortunately it was too little too late, seeing the Cogs pick up the win 48-21 after another late score from the Indians, with some much-deserved celebration from GK's coaches.
Belvedere headed on to Freeport for another matchup in the NIC-10 conference. Freeport coming off that really tough loss to Belvedere North, 21-0 last week, but still a 1-1 squad on the season. They're able to deflect that pass right there, and the student section is hyped up about it as always. And then they take the carry for 9 yards up the middle. They get a little bit of breathing room. Demarius Epps gets the rest of the yards that they need to move the chains, getting forward progress, and Belvedere eventually just hitting that wall, or Freeport hits the wall of Belvedere. The screen goes out to Nicholas Alvarez a few plays later, and it's snuffed out by the Pretzels. A few minutes later, and Sommers, the hero on both sides of the ball, the sack from Pierce on that play. Third quarter, it's Sommers once again, this time up the middle for 12 yards. And it was a back and forth battle for sure in this game, but the Pretzels come out, Anthony, 20-9 on top. They're now 2-1 in the season, looking good when it comes to playoffs.
Yeah, definitely, and we saw week 3 in the season. Can't believe we're already just a third of the way through the season. Some teams getting their first win, some teams trying to stay undefeated, keeping atop their conference.
Exactly, and there's also these playoff implications that are going on. So you can ignore those 0-2 teams, but they string together a few wins, and usually 5-5, 4-5, that can usually get you into a playoff spot. Excellent stuff. You saw all those games right there. We've got 3 more games on top of the ones we showed you in our show, Football Frenzy Plus. We'll see you there on our app.